Hi, my name is Ed Burley. I'm a retired Brigadier General in the U.S. Army and a retired Assistant United States Attorney with the Department of Justice. I'd like to talk to you for a moment about American national defense and why I support Kamala Harris for president in 2024 on that basis. Now, many of my friends have asked over time if I support Donald Trump because of his supposed strong support of the military and national defense. He talks a good game. But I explained to them that Trump actually does not support our military servicemen and women, and he's actually very disdainful towards them. Furthermore, Trump has weakened our defense worldwide by his dislike for our allies and his praise of dictators. Furthermore, it was Trump who was ultimately responsible for our disgraceful abandonment of our Afghan allies. Now, Trump shows disdain for our allies and looks at NATO as a purely monetary and transactional relationship. However, the truth is our allies have fought with us throughout our history, including during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. After the planes crashed into the Twin Towers in New York and at the Pentagon on 9/11, allies from 50 different NATO and partner countries came to our aid to strike back at al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. In Iraq, 2 years later, I had British, Australian, Dutch, Spanish, and even Ukrainian troops under my command, part of 39 allied nations that came to support U.S. forces. Think about this. Back in 2003 and 2004, a brigade, 5,000 Ukrainian troops were fighting by our side. Trump's criticism of NATO and our allies undermines America's leadership in the world. His praise of dictators like Russia's Putin or Kim Jong-il of North Korea damage our ability to protect Americans and American interests across the globe. Not many people know this, but Trump is also responsible for the shameful abandonment of the Afghan people. Trump conducted negotiations with the Taliban without the participation of the Afghan government. And in those negotiations, he agreed to remove U.S. forces by May 21, as long as the Taliban received the release of 5,000 of their prisoners held by the U.S. and Afghan government, and no more attacks on U.S. forces. After he lost the 2020 election, and before President Biden took office, Trump ordered an early reduction in U.S. forces in January 2021 to 2,500 troops, a number of U.S. soldiers that was insufficient to hold both the Kabul and Bagram airfields. Those 5,000 Taliban fighters that were released, they formed the vanguard of the later attacks on the Afghan national government. The force reductions caused the rush on the sole remaining airport at Kabul. Now, a lot could have been done better to make that ending go smoother, but Donald Trump was responsible for the end of Afghanistan. He disgraced the service of myself and all those who sacrificed their precious blood and time in Afghanistan. His lack of integrity doomed the Afghan people to the tyranny under which they now again suffer. Mr. Trump does not understand the values of duty, of honor, of country. Self-sacrifice is a foreign concept to him, as is the importance of standing by our allies, just as they have stood by us. Now, some of my friends suggest, Trump is bad for our country. Why not make a protest vote for someone who represents traditional Republican values, like Ronald Reagan? Now, President Reagan was a man of integrity who stood up against communism and tyranny. Captain Ronald Reagan of the United States Army Reserve and later the United States Army Air Forces during World War II used his stardom to fight against Nazism, against fascism, and against Japanese imperialism to assist our war effort. If you truly respect the legacy of Ronald Reagan, you'll vote to oppose the isolationism and autocratic tendencies of Trump. Now, as a result of long reflection, I have joined with the national security leaders of America to sign a letter endorsing Vice President Harris for president. She has shown unwavering support for America's military and our allies. She has stated firmly that she will continue to support and stand with NATO, with Ukraine, with South Korea, with Taiwan, and with all peoples of the world seeking to maintain freedom. We need someone who is true to their word in the White House, someone who understands duty and honor, and who will put our country first along with its defense. Please vote for Vice President Harris as our next President of the United States. Thank you for your attention.